for the first time, let's say two thanks to the God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala because His mercy amazing, so I can make this video without an obstacle. Secondly, salam and salawat to the best prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us from the darkness to the lightness. Alright, so before I start my discussion, let me introduce myself. My name is INSANI al-HUSNAH SYAM, but you all can call me Inna. I am student of English Education Department 2018 from PBIB at Alauddin State Islamic University of Makassar. Well, so I made this video to discuss about the scope of discourse analysis. And here actually I have highlighted 3 points regarding to the scope of discourse analysis. And the first one is interactional speaking. So in this interactional speaking, I will explain about the definition, what is example, what the reasons to analyze the discourse, and etc. And the second one is transactional speaking. And this point, I will also explain about the definition, what is example, what the reason to analyze, and etc. And the last one is performance speaking. So I will also explain about the definition, what is example, and what the reason to analyze the discourse. So the first scope that we will discuss is about interactional spoken discourse. So speaking is also recognized as interactional speaking because it's primarily established social interaction and it focuses on satisfying the participant's social needs, and it's interactive and requires two-way participation. Interactional speaking can obviously be illustrated as 2 or more people represent experience and support. So the example of interactional discourse are classroom conversation and casual conversation. Classroom conversation is a kind of language used by the teacher and students to interact with another in the classroom, while casual conversation is discourse which takes among people outside the classroom or in a real life situation. It's generally viewed as a carefree and unlimited way of speaking. The reason for conducting interactional discourse analysis is to be able to find out how the structure and function of the language used in a classroom conversation or in casual conversation. And by studying the information obtained in intersectional discourse analysis, it can help students to get authentic material which can show how the language is used according to the condition. And in order to conduct an interactional discourse analysis in classroom, it can be done by using the IRF approach developed by Sinclair and Coulthard and the implication of the interactional analysis results on learning. And teaching conversation in ELTR use the discourse sequence as pattern when the teacher needs to compile conversational-based teaching materials in which the utterance and the conversation materials are sequenced by using the exchange structure, and then use the utterance from the data as natural language expressions which can be used to perform particular function in the conversation materials, and then use the internal structure to determine terms in the conversation. So the second scope that we will discuss is about transactional spoken discourse. Spoken discourse, it's not only function as a medium to establish social relationship between the participant, but also function translate message being spoken. The function of spoken discourse as a medium for transacting message in our social life, which also called as a transactional speaking. Richards, 2008, claims that speaking as a transaction refers to situation where the focus is on what is said or done, the message meaning, which makes one understand understood clearly and accurately is the central focus. And the example of transactional speaking can be identified in terms of discussions, debates, job interviews, and etc. The reason for analyzing transactional discourse are to find out how the forms and functions are used and that it can assist students in obtaining several skills. In order to enable them to involve in transactional discourse activities, there are explained or intentions, describe something, ask questions, ask for clarification, confirm, and then justify an opinion, and then make suggestions, clarify understanding, uh, make comparisons, and last is uh, agree and disagree. And then we can use the IRF of initiation response feedback pattern in analyzing transactional discourse, and the implication of the results of transactional discourse are very helpful in presenting authentic transactional discourse activities in ELT classroom. Teaching transactional speaking skills using teaching materials developed according to information from discourse analysis will be useful to help students interact naturally using transactional discourse, such as in debate or discussion, and as well as helping students to prevent students from speaking English unnaturally. So, the last scope that we will discuss is about performance spoken discourse. Performance speaking is recognized as the term scope of spoken discourse, which refers to public speaking. Performance speaking is a type of spoken discourse that is aimed at transmitting information in product and audience. So, performance speaking can be illustrated as a process of communicating information to an audience by using a formal language, for example, making speeches and oral presentation. This analysis is carried out to be able to determine the form and function used in discourse, and this information can be usable as a reference that we can use when in a situation related to performance speaking, such as when giving a speeches and also oral presentation. With this discourse analysis, we can find out the general structure of speech, which can then provide us with information about the proper and correct speech structure, such as addressing, greeting, and gratitude, attention grabber, introduction, body conclusion, and then the ending. And with the results of this analysis, the teacher can assist students in teaching how to structure the speech correctly, and then can help students to be able to make a speech naturally by following the results of the existing analysis. So, from the explanation, we can conclude that there are three scopes of spoken discourse. There are interactional speaking, transactional spoken discourse, and the last is performance spoken discourse. And so, with the results of this analysis, it can help teachers to make authentic materials for teaching and learning process. So the students not only focus and learn about the form of the language, but also understand about the function of the language, and then student can sound more naturally while using English. And I think the analysis of spoken discourse is very important for students and teachers to know and to teach, especially the students who major in English education department, in order to prepare us to become teachers who are more competent in teaching if the teacher or students does not know exactly about the actual function of using language. And the last, I want to say thank you very much for our lecturer, Dr. Andika Agutnia SIPM Home, for giving me this opportunity to do this task and to finish my video. So I think that's all about my explanation. Thank you very much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.